You are listening to episode number 12 of Actionable Insights. I am your host, Joseph Maxwell. Today we're talking about something very timely, and that is dealing with the changes in business that come. And specifically, we're going to be talking to Alida Sholl at Rep Fitness. They're a company that sells fitness equipment to home gyms and doing it since 2012, started by two brothers. Now, she is the director of operations there, and she is one of the front people that has had to work through the challenges that have been brought to their company as a result of this COVID-19 pandemic. Now, for Rep Fitness, it's actually been a little bit different than it is for other companies in that they've been completely slammed as everyone, their brother, their sister, their aunt, their uncle, their cousins, their nephews, their relatives, their friends, have all wanted to outfit their home gym today because naturally the gyms are closed. So we're going to hear about how they have responded to these challenges. If you haven't already subscribed to this podcast on YouTube or Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, or Google, Spotify, please take a minute and do so. I would be really grateful. My goal is to continue bringing this type of content to you. And if you don't know that it exists, then it doesn't do you much good. So without further ado, let's jump into this interview. And I am pleased to present to you how to deal with challenges, both the good and the bad. Welcome, Alida. It's great to have you here on the show, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to share with us. So maybe we can start out by what do you do at Rep Fitness, and maybe what are some of your favorite aspects of that work?
Sure. So I am the director of operations at Rep Fitness. So my responsibilities include managing sales, customer service, account management, order processing, as well as our entire tech stack, kind of end to end. From the website all the way through the warehouse management system, getting orders out the door.
Wow. So that would be a lot that's involved in, because it's obvious as we talk about through this episode here, the whole coronavirus stuff and how you guys have had to shift. You're probably a big point person in this whole ordeal, right?
Sure. Yeah. My role really does cover kind of end to end from taking the order to making sure we get orders out the door. So there are a lot of aspects that go into that, but part of that does really play into my favorite times at Rep. I do really like that I'm involved in a lot of things, but I get to learn a lot of different stuff every day. So there's always new challenges coming up. I don't think I ever make it through a day and go, well, yep, that was all pretty easy, and just check things off the list and move on. So,
well, that's good.
It's really exciting. I don't have a background in e-commerce. I came to Rep with a background in industrial engineering, process improvement, actually some time spent in animal welfare.
Okay.
So it's been a very interesting challenge and a very quick learning curve, but it's been really fun to just kind of explore a whole new area. There's so much to learn in this arena, and
for sure.
It's been fun.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I think it's, I have a particular affinity to the Rep Fitness brand simply because of, exercise and all that stuff. I mean, just it's a great brand. Love what you guys do. Maybe you could share a overview of what it is that Rep Fitness is. Obviously, based off of the name itself, you guys sell fitness equipment, but what I assume this is different than going to Walmart and buying something that's labeled Gold's Gym off the shelf, right?
Yeah, we definitely like to think so. So our mission is basically to get high value, high quality equipment to home gym consumers. So we do definitely target home gyms. We do have some customers that are more of the commercial facilities, the functional fitness gyms as well. But we are targeting that home gym market and making home fitness really accessible for all. So we are not at the top of the price point. We're also not at the bottom of the price point. We are right in that middle, trying to make sure that you can afford it, but you're also getting very high quality equipment that is going to last you for a long time.
Well, that's really good. Yeah, because there's definitely some players in the fitness space, I would say, that are not quality. And then there's also others. I think anybody who's in this space will know exactly who I'm talking about, who are literally out of the price range of any type of home type of gym. So I think that's really interesting. What would you say, maybe in just a brief terms, what is kind of your value proposition? Like, is what you just said your primary value proposition, I guess, in how you set yourself apart from the competition in focusing especially on home gyms?
Yeah, so the other big piece of it for us is the customer service level. So
Okay.
that is what we feel really sets us apart from some of the other competitors, along with innovation, value, and customer service. Those are our three big things. So we are always striving to create new, interesting products, making sure they're high quality, high value products, but then also making sure we have the team to really back it up and help answer questions, help people on their journey to figuring out exactly what product they need. So we are not the team that's going to push everyone to our top of the line PR 5000 rack. There are a lot of people out there that probably will do better. And we as a team make it our mission to make sure we're getting people into the right equipment and not necessarily the most profitable sale for us.
It goes a long ways. That type of attitude, I guess the attitude is probably the right term there. Just that focus, because people appreciate that. You're not trying to just, I think that speaks for itself. Definitely. That's really
I mean, I would love to say that it's purely us just wanting to do the right thing. On the other side of it, though, is returns are expensive in our business. So we want to make sure people are buying the right product the first time, because we don't want them to send it back or change their mind or want to exchange it for something else, because that is difficult. So if we can get you exactly what you need on that first purchase, then we are doing our jobs well.
Plus, happy customers are much more likely to come back. So if you can delight your customer, take them through the whole process, you're much more likely to get them back, as opposed to getting that one sale. You maybe got a little extra money out of them, but then they're not coming back because they have too much buyer's remorse, in that process. So
and if you know anyone that has started a home gym, your buying process is never done. So it is a lifelong, you start it and you're like, okay, I think I have everything I need. And then 6 months later, you're like, oh wait, no, I forgot. I could probably use a few more weights, or, hey, now I want to start swinging kettlebells around, or it's time to add a plyo box. So definitely trying to set up customers for life that will stick with us for their entire home gym journey.
That's good. My story on there just kind of relates to exactly what you said there. So I would work at it more or less a gym, and then when this started happening, I actually brought some of my weights that I had at the gym there. I brought them back to my garage, and then I go online to try to, buy the 2.5s and the 5s and 5 plates. And I can't find them anywhere. So I think there's going to be a lot of residual effects from this whole COVID-19 stuff that people are coming back to you saying, okay, when is these plates available, or when is these kettlebells available, and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's an interesting segue, because, obviously we're in the middle of this pandemic. Hopefully we're on the tail end of this, businesses, we'll see when all that starts opening up again for real. But it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts about these techniques for adaptation. So obviously you're in one of those businesses that started increasing drastically once this whole thing came in, like bread machines. And I think some of the other, I can't remember some of the other categories that really, really shot up. But you're facing obviously the challenges of, maybe too many orders and sort of that thing. Maybe to help set the stage, what did Rep Fitness look like until March of 2020? Just kind of an overview. I'm assuming you guys are growing and all that stuff. So maybe just a little bit of an overview as far as getting us to this March 2020, and then we can dive into now, what does it look like?
Yeah, so the good thing for Rep is we have been high growth for a while. So taking on new challenges, that is pretty normal for us. So we have been growing ever since the company started in 2012, started by two brothers who brought in one container of bumper plates and started selling those from a very, very small warehouse to where we're at now, which is obviously much larger than that.
For sure.
So we are used to growing and changing every year. Black Friday is the big holiday season. We get unprecedented growth every year. So this is just kind of like Black Friday of 2020, just happening way earlier. So that's the good thing for us, that we are used to being very reactive. I know sometimes that's bad, sometimes that can be good. Right now it's good. So we're able to just kind of take the challenges and say, okay, what do we need to do right now? May not be the best play for future long term, but how can we tackle this situation right now? How do we get ourselves going, and how do we keep moving forward? And then, yeah, maybe 3 months down the road, we need to clean some of this stuff up. But we as a team are very scrappy and willing to just get in and kind of like make those quick decisions to keep us moving forward.
I think it could be especially difficult, because you do see the long term. Okay, how is this decision going to affect us in 6 months down the road? But there are these real needs, like you mentioned, Black Friday on steroids, probably not just for that Black Friday weekend. We're talking about probably a couple weeks or longer of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, if this is steroids, these are the best steroids ever. So
Yeah.
we are well beyond any Black Friday volume we have ever seen, and it has been going for, I think we're at 5 weeks now. So
that's it's insane, but it's good. I mean, I'm really
good.
glad.
We're very lucky.
For sure. What can we talk about some specific challenges that you guys are facing, and then maybe some of the solutions to some of the things that you are having to work through? I'm sure there's a myriad that we obviously can't talk about, but some of the couple of things that we can, and what's the challenge that you guys have faced, and then how have you dealt with it? So kind of looking at the negative and then the positive way that you're able to work through that.
Yeah. So, I mean, first and most obvious one was just order volume. So the orders started ramping up very quickly. We have always prided ourselves on trying to get orders out within a 24-hour window.
Oh,
it became pretty clear right away that was no longer possible. So really working with the order processing team and making sure they had processes in place, because to them, it's a failure if they don't leave at the end of the day with kind of everything out the door. So really making sure they had ways to send out orders in chunks. And instead of looking at, oh my gosh, we need to send out 7,000 orders, it was, okay, what are the goals we can set for today? What is feasible to do today? And how can we really get the message to the customers of there are going to be delays? Luckily, we're not the only ones experiencing delays. So most customers are ready for that. But just putting it into perspective for our teams of how can we start handling these in a much more manageable way, instead of just looking at the whole giant chunks, or really just looking at pieces that we could do each day.
Well, and I imagine something would come out of that is efficiency. So you guys are going to probably be seeing these little fringe areas of waste when it comes to the shipping processes, and you're going to be tuning those like they've probably never been tuned ever.
Yeah, so it definitely has accelerated a lot of those projects. Order processing was something we planned on looking at later in the year, but prior to Black Friday season this year. So it definitely just pulled that project up a little bit. So really working with my lead in that area and making sure, like, okay, yes, she's in there helping, but she is also taking the time every day to really focus in on those processes. How can we improve this? What can we do faster? What can we do in batches rather than individually clicking everything? So we have made a lot of improvements. The other thing that's been really amazing is watching that team come together. So they are used to being in the office next to the warehouse, able to kind of do stuff as they need to. They're all remote now. So taking that entire process remote, the level of communication within that team has stepped up dramatically. And they are really, really taking on that challenge. They've come up with some really great inventive solutions. So we are now set up very well that if any of them need to be remote in the future, like, we can carry on. It is no longer you have to be sitting at this desk job, which we all thought it was before. Well,
I mean, I think a lot of companies are working through that process and are figuring that out. And it's going to be a real, we almost can't use the word perk anymore. I mean, it's going to be a just part of the job almost now. And so I think it's really great. And obviously that's enabled by the technology that we have, even as we're recording this right here. So that's good. How are you keeping in communication with your customers? Like, what are some of the things you've worked through in that process to help set, or I guess maybe in the beginning, reset their expectations as far as, obviously you have great shipping time, that sort of thing, but that's just not possible, right? At least at this point. So how did you tune those expectations?
So we have been working a lot on getting information out to the customers up front. So in the past, we all kind of thought, okay, we'll put out our standards, and then if things are off a little bit, we're able to answer the questions as they come in and are on our email or voicemail or phone calls, whatever it is. No longer possible to keep up with that volume. So we are really, really focusing on making sure we set expectations up front. So making sure like at checkout, it tells you, by the way, this order is going to be delayed. On your order confirmation, it tells you, here's our shipping window right now. There are pop-ups if you select certain things. So really making sure we kind of blast customers with that.
Right.
So they're ready for it. And most people, okay, fine, they get it. Things are delayed. But just making sure they understand what that experience is going to be up front. Really pushing people towards communication channels that we are able to handle. So one of the things we did is shut down voicemail. We know that phone calls take a lot longer and are just a lot harder to stay on top of. So we've been pushing everyone to email because we're able to get through those a lot faster. Since our team is entirely remote, they're able to stay on top of those. So I know that was tough for a lot of customers at the beginning, but it was the decision that we made that basically like overall for 90% of people, this is going to be a better experience because we're able to handle that and move through things in a much faster manner.
Yes. Yeah, that does make sense. And I think those would be some of those hard decisions because I'm guessing that phone support has been part of you all's DNA. You know, I mean, that's how you communicate with customers. But those are the tough decisions. So
yeah, it's always been a big thing for us. We have our phone number right at the top of our website, and it has always been call rep. You're going to get a person on the phone who will help you answer your questions. So it was a tough one to step away from at first. But again, just realizing that making that decision actually helped a majority of our customers get answers faster.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. So yeah, and that makes sense. Let's talk about the website for a couple minutes. You mentioned like pop-ups and that sort of thing. So if I remember correctly, are you guys using the Magento platform?
We are.
Okay.
So we are still on Magento 1, have our migration planned for this year. That project is still running full steam ahead. It's really funny right now. We're just working with our development team and saying, hey, any chance you can take that like 4-month timeline and roll our site out in like 2 weeks? Because a lot of that functionality would be really helpful right now.
Right. So is it internal development or external?
We are working with an external agency.
Okay. Yeah, just because I was going to say, so are you able, because I'm guessing you are still making modifications to your current website, right? So trying to balance some of those could be kind of interesting as far as.
Yeah, a lot of the things that we thought were frozen until that migration have unfroze. So still trying to keep it simple. Obviously, when your site is being hammered every day, you don't want to be making a lot of large changes, but we are working with the developers, just small tweaks here and there to really make sure. Things like we have a pop-up at checkout that asks you, are you sure you want local pickup? And we found we kept having to ask them to update what that message was. So they went ahead and threw that into configurations so we can really stay on top of updating that message on our own. So little changes like that have just really helped us out.
I'm curious about that the local pickup pop-up, because I know that can be a source people can see that and get confused sometimes. So can you talk about like a couple of the iterations like that you had to work through in that local pickup to make it so that I assume you finally arrived at something that works now? Yeah,
local pickup actually we are very proud of. That's been one of, I think, kind of our big wins through this whole process.
Okay.
So local pickup has always been something we offer, but it's really just been, hey, place an order on the website and then come and pick it up whenever you're ready. And with the volume we had prior, that worked well enough. We learned very quickly that no longer worked. So we were trying to maintain it that way. All of a sudden we had lines of cars around our building, people waiting for an hour outside. It was
that would be a problem.
So
yeah,
we very quickly took a look at that process, implemented texting and appointment setting very quickly, found some great partners out there that helped us do that. So now it's much cleaner. You place your order, you set an appointment online. We know you're coming ahead of time. We can get your order ready to go. You text us when you show up. If it's a really big order, we have you pull up to the door. If it's a smaller order, we have express pickup outside our door. We put your stuff on a pallet, you grab it, put it in your car, and you're ready to go.
That's awesome.
So that was a huge win for us, and definitely a process that we're going to continue after all of this because it is much more efficient than what we were doing before. So
see, there's a great example right there.
I know it was like the kick we needed to really take a look at that process.
Yeah, because again, it's so often it's the urgent that gets put in front of the important, but at this time it's kind of almost the opposite, where it is these long-term important projects that just don't get done, but now because of the urgent, those do get done. So it's kind of funny how that works out. That's great. The website, we're at this point, we're recording April 24th. You guys have had to shut down web orders, and I think for many that would be a very difficult decision. Orders coming through the website, that's the lifeblood of an organization, or at least for a direct-to-consumer. So can you talk to me a little bit about how it came to that point? Because again, it's kind of would be a last-ditch resort in how you, in just running an online business.
Yeah, so we have been down for about 2 weeks now. We're actually relaunching this coming Monday. Mm-hmm. So we're all in the preparations for that, getting excited to really get up and running again. Basically, what prompted the decision is order volume had been very, very high, and we were running out of equipment. So it was no longer a great user experience on our site. We were getting more questions than we could handle of just people poking around, and they're like, what is in stock? What can I buy? And we're like, well, you can buy like these 2 size dumbbells or that 1 size kettlebell. So we realized that we needed to shut down to just kind of do a reset on our own. So our order processing team really focused on getting the orders that were currently in our system cleaned up, pushed out the door. It gave the warehouse team a chance to really catch up as well. And kind of reset ourselves. So things went really, really crazy for a while. Mm-hmm. When everyone's operating at 110%, sometimes things get a little messy. Gave us a chance to reset. We had a bunch of inventory come in recently. So we've just been getting everything back in order, getting restocked. And so we are ready to go again, kind of at a fresh slate. We know it's going to get crazy again. Worked on some web updates as well. We've had issues in the past, but our site should be rock solid for Monday, fingers crossed. So it also just helped give the team a little bit of a breather before going into this next big push. So they have all been running, like I said, 110%. So it was nice to give everyone just a chance, like 1 week, let stuff calm down for a little bit. You can kind of dig out of the hole without it just the floor constantly falling out from under you. Get back to a baseline because we know it's going to get crazy again. And let's all take a breath and get ready for it.
That's great. Yeah. I appreciate, how you mentioned it would have been a difficult decision, but how you took that step even to keep the customer expectations in line, and how there are those questions. There are those people who are constantly even probably wanting to call you, and then they don't get the phone, and then they have to email. Okay, what product? It can create a real mess versus you taking that step. That, and again, I'm going to use the term brave step. Saying, hey, we're going to take a breather for not only your people, which says a lot about the Rep Fitness brand in general, and your concern for the fulfillment teams, but then as well for your customer. So I think that all the way around it says a lot in making those difficult decisions to be able to hone in on what's truly important. So.
Yeah, and that was setting the customer expectation was a big piece of it when we first started talking about it, because at first it was like, okay, can we shut down for 5 days and come back? Or do we evaluate again in a few days and then change it? And that's when we all finally as a leadership team came to the decision, like, let's just set that day out. Yes, it might be a little bit longer than we truly need, but at least that way we've set the date. We don't have to set a date and then change the date and then change it again. This way we know we're covered. We know we can come back really strong and be ready to go on that actual date.
That's great. Well, I'm certainly looking forward. I think it's April 27th, so I'm looking forward to that myself.
April 27th, we are ready.
That's good. So here's a hypothetical question. So what if some of these buying sprees were reversed, and somehow, I don't know, it's, well, like there's, like you say it was a travel brand. What things would you and again, this is hypothetical, but how would you think some strategies that you would have had to cope with some of these losses in revenue? If again, like if it was a travel brand or something like that, how would you approach some of those challenges of the revenue switch literally just turns off?
So, like I said, we have been high growth ever since I have been at Rep. So that's a really tough one because it's not a challenge we come across very often. But I do know, like in the past 2 weeks with orders being off, like how do we as an e-commerce company stay relevant for 2 weeks when we are not taking orders? How do we keep our customers engaged? So there has been a lot of focus on social media and how we kind of utilize that platform to bring the community together and highlight customers, highlight the things you can do with maybe the minimal amount of product you do have, rather than just using it as a channel to, hey, buy this product, buy that new product, buy that new product. So it has been really exciting to just look at, we are highlighting the people who are getting it done in their garage with the one kettlebell they have. They're taking their sandbag out to their driveway. They're using a step stool that they found in their house to jump over. So highlighting how they're using our equipment, but then how people are really making the most of what they have along with whatever else they can find, and just finding a way to get fitness done at home with kids running around and working at home. And maybe you've carved out a small space next to your home office and you're still getting it done. So that's been the big piece of just using our brand to try to really empower people that fitness doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes just getting a little bit done is better than not doing anything at all. Right.
I think that's good. And what I'm hearing is if I could sum it up, is that your marketing doesn't stop. And I think in staying relevant, staying in the forefront of customers' minds, if all those processes were to turn off overnight, as your orders the orders have been turned off, you start slipping into the back of their minds, which opens up the opportunity for competition to step in. So that's really good to in that process. So that's really good. I think just maybe as we work to wrap this up, it's been really, really good. I've really enjoyed this time to chat here. Let's talk about one final thing. How do we separate? Is there a way that you can think of that we can separate these? Hopefully, I'm going to say hopefully once in a lifetime lessons, these challenges, with like the coronavirus versus the things that we can take and apply today. So there are some things I'm sure that all of us have gone through with this, some more than others, definitely, with this pandemic versus what things can we take and apply long term? So reactionary versus being proactive, reasonably proactive for the future.
Right. So I think what we've seen is that, and it's kind of been the motto at Rep for as long as I've been around, is the old saying of like, don't let perfect get in the way of progress. So you may not always be able to find the perfect solution, but sometimes getting something in place or improving one small thing is better than just sitting back and saying, no, we need an 8-month project to fully analyze this and get the perfect solution. So trying to find those little wins every day. And this is what I always empower my teams as well, of just like, hey, if you can find one thing you can improve in your day, fantastic. We don't need to understand maybe every little single aspect of it, but if you find one thing that helps you get your job done or helps you take on more, that's great. Let's get that going right now. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, the takeaway for us going forward is sometimes it does pay to just be willing to get in and get those small wins, even if you maybe don't understand every aspect of it.
That is great advice. Yep. Continual improvement. That is awesome.
Continual improvement. I am a process engineer by background. So that is continuous process improvement. That's my thing. That's my jam.
That's awesome. That is great. It's great having you on. Thank you so much. I appreciate your insights, your wisdom as you have weathered this storm, and definitely look forward to getting this out there, and hopefully, and I know it's going to be a big help for other people. So thank you for taking the time.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, my friends, that was good. That was really good. I think I come away from this podcast having even a deeper appreciation for the Rep Fitness brand. I mean, I think all of us can go to their website, all of us can, click through it, look at their Facebook, their Instagram, all that. It's good. But what I find is really interesting is their heart for their people. And you'll notice some of the reasons why they took that drastic step to shut down orders, and their customers. Now, they actually put their customers' interest first. And that's not always easiest to do. It's not always the easy decision to do. I'm really grateful for a brand that puts their customers first. As such, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. If you have not already, could you take just a moment and subscribe to Actionable Insights podcast on your favorite platform, whether that's YouTube, whether that is Spotify or Google Podcasts or Apple Podcasts. I want to keep bringing this to you, and I want you to see and know when this is available for your consumption. As such, I hope you also take a moment and write a review. Hopefully it'll be 5 stars, but honestly, that would make my day to get a review from you about how this episode, how this show has impacted you and your brand. Hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful week, and we will see you next time.